Cool. You ready?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ready. All right, here we go. Hit the timer.
Yeah. Here we go.
Dan Slick, a podcast, episode 8. Episode 8, Slick. We've come a long way. How are we doing?
Doing well. You've wasted
Doing
5
well?
seconds.
Okay. Let's get right into where am I wrong on this one? So we're both millennials, right? There's an idea,
cool.
especially it feels like our generation, that we might not have made the same mistakes of the previous generations before us. If, for example, I or you went back and put ourselves in Gen X or one of the previous ones, we wouldn't have had some of those BS. I think that's a total illusion, though. I guess I'm over time already. But the idea that we made, the only reason that we can have the knowledge that we do today is because of the mistakes of previous generations made. So
Yeah, I definitely
we
think
can't be doing this like self-righteous stuff. It drives me nuts. I don't know where I'm wrong.
Yeah. So I think that's like one way to interpret. So it is like the holier than thou like generational problem, right? Like I think that's
Yeah.
a problem. Because I think, but I also don't think anyone in the current generation is saying, oh, like I wouldn't have done that if I were in your shoes. I don't think they're saying that. I think all they're saying is like, okay, you guys got some things wrong. We need to fix them now. I think that's really just all the messages, and I don't think it's necessarily saying like, oh, I can't understand how you could have done that, because maybe it is. Maybe some people are just like, how in the world? But I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of easy to understand how certain decisions were made in the past with when you think about the way people thought back then and different norms and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, I think of things as like, maybe I'm a glass half full guy. Maybe I'm like a weird optimist in the sense that I think the previous generations have really made a lot of significant progress. So that's how I typically look at it. But it seems like there's a lot of finger pointing, like, you shouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have done that, we would have been better.
Yeah,
Just speaking generally.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like things that generally feed a victim narrative when it's like
Yeah.
when you don't have to. I mean, I think there are tons of legitimate criticisms which should also be not like minimalized. So I don't know, it is an interesting balance. But I think if you can clarify, because it comes back to like just having a nuanced way to talk about these things, you know.
Yeah, we try to tackle big topics in 2 minutes or less. So,
All right, Dan, here's your logical fallacy. You get 2 examples. So first example is someone comes up to you and says, oh, well, like, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? And then the second thing, well, obviously your obvious answer would be, well, I'm working on a podcast, but just wait. And then
just wait like 2 months. Yeah.
second thing is the example of like, oh, you should go to the seminar. The guy who's doing it is rich. So like, what's the logical fallacy there?
Well, yeah, it sounds a bit like kind of a classic post hoc, right? Just because someone is wealthy doesn't mean they're incredibly full of knowledge, and just because someone is incredibly full of knowledge doesn't necessarily mean they're wealthy. Correlation is not causation in that manner necessarily. Some folks, sometimes intelligence can get in the way of one's own business acumen or business decisions or personal decisions because you tend to overthink or, I guess I froze. Did I freeze? Shit.
It's all good.
I was giving some awesome takes there.
We'll get your audio.
I was saying that, what was I saying? Yeah, I got lost track. I got off track.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's the nice phrasing is an appeal to wealth. So just mentioning the high or low wealth of someone who's making an argument, that shouldn't have any bearing on like the validity of it.
Yeah.
So you want to, I mean, it might. It's not like you discount it completely, but it's not like something to rest your laurels on completely. You know.
Not full game changer. Yeah, I think
I
that's
think
what we're talking about.
I mean, there's other arguments like, okay, well, let's imagine a world with like perfectly enlightened capitalism, where like
Right.
all money goes to the nicest, smartest people.
Yeah.
Like the best humans. Then it's like, okay, well, like if you're not rich, then like what's the deal? So.
But the nicest, it's like the nicest, smartest humans might not necessarily.
That's what I said like in an enlightened capitalism, so a different structure than now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like fulfilling weirdly like niche needs can be like, I don't know, like I think of like a guy back on the East Coast who does like giant glass, who does like who you probably windshield busted, like that guy's like a multi-millionaire. I don't know, is he the smartest guy in the room? Probably not. I don't know. It's like, but he might find a little niche. Okay, Dan's mystery box. So we had some big news this week on the political end of the spectrum. Kamala Harris signed on as VP for the Democratic Party on the 2020 ticket, presumably with Joe Biden. So the convention didn't happen. Is the convention happening? Like even like the online one? No?
I have zero. I really don't know what the logistical is now.
I just realized that now, but. It seemed to me like a bit of a risk-averse pick once again from the Democrats.
I know that's, as a theoretical campaign manager, it's not what you're looking for, right?
I think you need to take more risk. I think Kamala's already like she has a ton of exposure. She has like, I mean, I think the Democrats just they always play it safe. They always do. They don't do the double down. Trump is like he's willing to take the risk, and I feel like the Republican Party is too. So I don't know what it is about the ethos of the Democrats that they tend to kind of play it safe and go with the.
Pence wasn't risky though.
Yeah.
I mean, the kind of arguments is like VPs don't really matter. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think they do. I mean, he was a way to solidify the base for Donald in 2016.
Yeah, but it was a safe pick though, right?
I don't know if he was a safe pick. I don't know if he was necessarily on brand with Trump and his like.
Oh, not with Trump, no. But I mean, it was a safe pick in terms of like fitting an establishment political agenda, I think, right?
Yeah, just let me be a self-hater for a minute. So like you're poking holes in my argument too much.
Fine.
But no, I just I don't know. I guess you don't have any necessarily hot takes on it. So I think they'll do well. I think they'll do well together. But
I think it was par for the course. I'm not.
par for the course.
Yeah.
I think you gotta take more hacks up there. You gotta take a big
I
swing.
think people are emotionally exhausted right at this point in time. Just like from 2020, they're just like, you know what? I can only get so excited for politics right now.
Yeah.
Or just like a VP pick.
Interesting. All right, mystery box wasn't great. Shout out Kamal. Best of luck to you. Best of luck, Kamal. Go crush him.
All right, Dan, you'll enjoy this one. So you have a magic wand to make an extreme outdoor sport the most popular spectator sport in America. What do you pick?
I mean, free solo climbing. That's the first thing. I mean, can you imagine that? Like the absolute carnage that would be. Oh, it would be like gladiator-esque, like circa, like imagine the horrible incentives. Like you climb this thing, but you'd be like the greatest, like most famous person ever. But then the alternative is you fall to your death in front of millions of people. Like, can you imagine that? Oh my god.
So yeah, it's funny you mentioned. Oh, well, there's an obvious pick. That is not what leapt to mind. So thank you to me at least. So thank you for sharing that one. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was recently watching this thing about big wave surfing. I think it's sweet. I think it'd be really cool to do spectator sports for that. But there's only so many spots it can happen. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, big wave surfing is too like conditions dependent. I mean, it'd be sick. Yeah, shout out Maverick Beach, Half Moon Bay, California. But I don't know, man. Yeah, it's like what's that Stephen King book where it's like everyone just like has to walk. You have to walk from like Maine to Florida, and like if you like stop walking, you're like shot. But if you like get to the end and make it to Florida, then you're like the most famous, richest person in like the history of the world. It's like some sort of weird game show in like a dystopian
geez.
future.
Yeah, it sounds like Hunger Games, but like
Yeah, it's like
more
Hunger Games. So, yeah, I
back-
feel like the free solo would be kind of Hunger Games, like zero
No,
sum
I think you picked the definitely most controversial extreme sport. That in and of itself is such a niche. Going back to like your niche talk earlier, it's a very niche sport. Like not many people do that sport, you know. But it would
No,
be-
and not many. Arguably, no one should. I mean, there's like
yeah, exactly. It's like morally confusing whether it should be okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
you
borderline
would say,
suicide.
like a very
It's like
weird-
suicidal. There's a lot of dark things going on.
yeah.
People who attempt those things. So
But yeah, I think that would be pretty. It'd be kind of dystopian, kind of free. What is it? Hunger Games-esque to broadcast that. There we go. Oh man.
But on the other hand, I mean, you could argue that if we limit the extreme and high level competitions to just a few athletes, like
Yeah.
that's probably less impact than thousands of NFL and collegiate athletes playing football. So,
Ooh.
so
Damn.
if you look on a wider
Damn.
lens, there,
That's
it
an
might-
against empathy argument right there. Ooh, I like the against empathy argument. That's quite interesting. Yeah, the idea of scale. It's like one death versus like hundreds of people that are going to be suffering long term. That's interesting, man. That's interesting.
That's like the idea that for the nuclear codes like that the president has access to, they should be stored inside the chest of another human, so that he has to physically kill someone to get them, so that he has a more visceral connection to what he's about to do.
Wow, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, it's pretty. Oh, there's someone carrying a table outside. Interesting. Don't see that every
Who
day.
would sign up for that job? Who would be like, yeah, I'm
Huh?
game to be like the chest with the nuclear code.
Someone who's like, you know what? I'll take $100K a year for doing basically nothing. Like, sure.
100K. Yeah, I'd probably do that. Actually, no, I wouldn't do that. Ooh, that's an interesting philosophical question there. I guess yeah, people do it. I feel
I
like
mean,
there's some ethical.
you'd obviously have a lot of like things. You know, you'd have to hang around DC all the time near the president,
Yeah.
high security. So there'd be a lot of like. But hey, you know, if you have nothing else that you're good at.